Most people assume wealth building is linear. You put in $1, you get $1 plus a little interest, and you repeat that until you retire. But if you look at the math of compounding over a 15-year cycle, you realise that is completely wrong. There is a specific rhythm to how money grows, and it is weirdly consistent. It follows a pattern called the 8-4-3 rule. Here is the short version. It takes 8 years to reach a certain milestone of growth. Then, it takes only 4 years to replicate that entire 8-year struggle. And then, it takes just 3 years to do it all over again. Same contribution, same market, completely different results. If you do not understand this timeline, you are almost guaranteed to quit right before the magic happens. You will walk away in year 7 thinking the system is broken, right when you are about to hit the acceleration phase. Today, I want to walk you through exactly how this works, why the first 8 years feel like quicksand, and how the last 3 years can literally change your entire financial life. This isn't just about throwing numbers at a spreadsheet. The 8-4-3 rule is a mental model. It is a way to visualize patience so you do not drive yourself crazy checking your portfolio every Tuesday. We are going to break down the 3 distinct psychological phases of this 15-year cycle. We will look at the math using some round numbers so you can see the gears turning. And then we will talk about the traps, specifically the fees and emotional mistakes that can break this chain. Because that is the catch. The rule works, but only if you do not interrupt the machine. Before we dive into the first phase, if you appreciate deep dives into the mechanics of money without the hype, do me a favour and subscribe to the channel. It is the best return on investment you will get for your time today, and it helps me keep the lights on. Alright, let's look at the first 8 years. Let's call phase 1 the boring years. This covers year 1 through year 8. This is the period where 90% of aspiring investors fall off the wagon. Mathematically, here is what is happening. You are putting money in every month. Maybe it is $500, maybe it is $1,000. The market is doing its thing. Some years it is up 10%, some years it is down 5%. But because your total balance is starting from zero, the actual dollar amount of your returns is tiny compared to what you are contributing from your paycheck. In these first 8 years, you are doing the heavy lifting. The market is helping, sure, but it is like a friend who promises to help you move and then just carries one lamp. You are carrying the couches. You look at your statement in year 5 and you think, I have been sacrificing for half a decade and this pile of money is barely bigger than what I put in. Is this even worth it? This is where the psychology gets dangerous. Because the growth is slow, your brain starts inventing reasons to stop. You start thinking about how that money could be a new car, or a renovation, or a dream vacation. You convince yourself that investing is a scam for rich people, or that you just picked the wrong funds. But nothing is wrong. This is a feature, not a bug. In phase 1, you are not really investing for returns yet. You are investing for critical mass. You are building the snowball. You have to pack the snow together before you can roll it. If you stop in year 7 because you are bored or disappointed, you never reach the tipping point. You have paid the price of discipline, but you walked out before eating the dinner. The 8-4-3 rule tells us that this slog lasts about 8 years. It is a long time. It is a test of character more than a test of math. But if you stick it out, the physics of your money starts to change. Then comes phase 2. This is years 9, 10, 11 and 12. This is the 4 in the 8-4-3 rule. Suddenly, things start to feel different. You are still putting in your monthly contribution, but now the market is matching you. In good years, the portfolio might grow by more than your annual salary. This is the moment where you go from pushing the car uphill to jumping in and letting gravity take over. In just these 4 years, your money tends to grow as much as it did in the entire previous 8 years combined. Think about that efficiency. It took you 96 months of grinding to get the first block of wealth. Now you get that same block of wealth in just 48 months. You have literally doubled your speed. This is usually when people start to get really interested in personal finance. They stop dreading the monthly transfer and start getting excited about it. We call this snowball mode. The returns on your previous returns are now generating their own returns. It is meta, but it is powerful. Your original contributions from year 1 are now 10 years old, and they have been multiplying quietly in the background. Psychologically, this phase is a relief. You realize that all those gurus saying time in the market beats timing the market weren't just spouting slogans. You lived through the volatility of the first 8 years. You survived a correction or two, and now you have the calluses to prove it. You are less likely to panic sell because you see the momentum. The machine is working. You are no longer carrying the couch alone. The market has finally shown up with a moving truck. But here is the crazy part. As good as Phase 2 feels, it is just the warm-up for the finale. If you thought doubling your speed in Phase 2 was impressive, wait until you see Phase 3. This is where the human brain actually malfunctions. We are evolved to understand linear growth, walking from point A to point B. We are terrible at understanding exponential growth. Phase 3 is years 13, 14 and 15. Just 3 years. But in this tiny window, the math goes vertical. This is the part of the chart that looks like a hockey stick. And if you missed the first 12 years, you cannot just jump in here and expect the same results. You have to earn your way to year 13. In these final 3 years, your portfolio generates another block of growth equal to what you achieved in the previous 4 years, which, remember, was equal to the first 8. So, in just 36 months, you are stacking wealth at a rate that is nearly triple your starting pace. At this point, your monthly contribution barely matters. I mean, keep doing it, discipline is good, but the heavy lifting is now 100% automated. The interest is earning interest on the interest. You might have days where the market moves up by 1 or 2%, and that daily swing is more money than you earn in a month at your job. It is a surreal feeling. It feels like you suddenly got rich, but you didn't. You just waited 15 years for the compounding curve to go vertical. This highlights why stopping early is so devastating. If you cash out at year 10 because you want to buy a boat or pay off the house, you aren't just spending your principal, you are killing the exponential phase. You are chopping down the tree right before it bears fruit. The 8-4-3 rule shows us that the majority of the reward is backloaded. It is hidden at the very end of the timeline. It is like running a marathon where they give you the medal at mile 26, but if you stop at mile 20, you get nothing but sore legs. This is why the rich get richer. They have the capital and the patience to stay in the game until year 15, year 20, year 30. They live permanently in Phase 3. Let's ground this with some real numbers so you can see I'm not just making up fairy tales. Let's say you invest €500 or dollars a month. You put it into a boring, diversified equity fund. We will assume a long-term average return of 10%. Now, obviously, the market doesn't give you a smooth 10% every year. Some years it is up 30, some years it is down 20. But on average, over 15 years, 10% is a reasonable historical baseline for equities. So, you are putting in $6,000 a year. After 8 years, Phase 1, you have contributed $48,000 of your own cash. With growth, your balance sits somewhere around $70,000 or $75,000. Not bad. You made some money. But you are not retiring on it. It took you nearly a decade to get to that $75,000 mark. Now watch what happens. You keep putting in your $500 a month. 4 years later, phase 2, you hit year 12. Your balance is now roughly $130,000 to $140,000. You added almost as much value in 4 years as you did in the first 8. Then comes phase 3, years 13, 14 and 15. By the end of year 15, you are pushing past $200,000. In those last 3 years, the growth surged again. You went from 130 to 200 in a blink. The gap between the years gets wider and wider. Flat, then steep, then vertical. That is the pattern. You didn't work harder in year 15, your money did. So, how does knowing this change your behavior? First, it kills the desire for quick wins. When you understand 843, you realize that trying to double your money in 6 months is not investing. It is gambling. Real wealth is a 15-year project minimum. It forces you to zoom out. Instead of asking, what stock is hot right now, you start asking, what process can I sustain for 15 years? It makes you respect the boring, repeatable systems. Automated transfers, index funds, dividend reinvestment. You stop looking for a lottery ticket and start looking for a shovel, because you know the gold is buried deep, not on the surface. Second, it makes starting now non-negotiable. If the magic happens in year 15, every year you wait pushes that payday further away. If you start at 20, you hit your first exponential phase at 35. You have time for a second or even third cycle in your life. If you wait until you are 40 to start investing seriously, you don't hit that first vertical climb until 55. You are running out of runway. The cost of delay isn't just the money you didn't put in. It is the time you stole from your future compounding curve. You can always earn more money to put in later, but you cannot manufacture more time. Time is the one asset you cannot dollar cost average. Here is another mental shift. Volatility becomes your ally. When you are in the first 8 years, a market crash is actually the best thing that can happen to you. I know, that sounds crazy, but think about it. You are in the accumulation phase. You are a net buyer of stocks. If the market drops 20% in year 4, you are buying units at a discount. You are loading the spring. When the market eventually recovers, and it historically always has, you have more units compounding for you in the later phases. If you understand the 15-year timeline, a crash in year 4 is just a sale at the store. You don't panic, you go shopping. However, there is a silent killer in this equation: fees. To make the 843 rule work, you need clean compounding. If you are paying a 2% management fee to some guy in a suit who underperforms the market, you are dragging an anchor behind your speedboat. 2% sounds small, but over 15 years, it eats a massive chunk of your exponential growth. It flattens the curve. This rule nudges you naturally toward low-cost index funds or ETFs. You want to capture the market return, not pay for someone's boat. Keep your costs low, keep your allocation broad, and let the math work without friction. So, how do you actually implement this? Step 1. Pick your 15-year goal. What is the money for? Retirement? Freedom? A house? Give it a name so you stick to it. Step 2. Automate the contribution. The 843 rule relies on consistency, not willpower. Willpower fails when you see a shiny new gadget or when the market dips. Automation doesn't care, it just buys. Treat that monthly investment like a bill, a tax you pay to your future self. Step 3. Pick the right vehicle. For most people, that is a global equity index fund. Simple, boring, effective. Don't overcomplicate it with 30 different niche sectors. Step 4 is the hardest: the commitment. You have to promise yourself you won't interrupt the machine. You won't raid the fund for a wedding. You won't stop contributing because the news says a recession is coming. You have to protect the timeline. You are not just managing money, you are managing your own behaviour. If you can stay boring for 15 years, you win. It is the ultimate get-rich-slow scheme. And unlike the quick schemes, this one actually works. The 8-4-3 rule isn't a guarantee of specific returns. The market is wild and unpredictable in the short term. But as a way to visualize wealth, it is unbeatable. It teaches you that the hard work is front-loaded and the rewards are back-loaded. It explains why the first decade feels like a grind and why the wealthy seem to make money effortlessly. Your job is to survive the first 8 years so you can enjoy the last 3. Plant the tree, water it, and for the love of money, don't dig it up every year to check the roots. If this perspective shifted how you see your own portfolio, drop a comment below. Are you in the boring 8 years, the acceleration 4, or the exponential 3? I want to see where everyone is at. And if you know someone who is about to quit investing because they aren't seeing results yet, share this video with them. It might just stop them from making a very expensive mistake. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.